Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at a few more of these PNSO minis to just keep getting on with this big gigantic box of 48 minis, which have been 48 of the most incredible dinosaur figures that I have ever seen. Anyway, we will be taking a look at some more Ceratopsians, and we will start out with Coy the Einiosaurus, Alger the Pachyrhinosaurus, and Abel the Kosmoceratops. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. We can't really see too well what's going on in there as far as the habitat that they live in, but you can get a pretty good idea. We'll have a better idea right now though as we get them out of the package. So there we are, we've gotten them out of the packaging, and I believe this makes it our 7th Ceratopsians. So this means that altogether so far we have 7 Ceratopsians from this pack of 48 dinosaurs. I don't know for sure if there are any more left in the box, but regardless, 7 different species of Ceratopsian included in this box set is pretty darn awesome. Taking a look at the Kosmoceratops habitat, looks pretty cool. Nice little plain type looking area. And then inside is, as always, incredible PNSO artwork that just looks beautiful. Then we take a look at the Pachyrhinosaurus, a nice wooded forested area, very cool. And then incredible, as always, artwork on the inside. A beautiful image there of a Pachyrhinosaurus in all its glory. And then the Einiosaurus, there you go, beautiful, actually very similar to the Kosmoceratops. And then that is incredible. I really like that paint scheme actually on there. That is really beautiful stuff. So as always, PNSO's booklets are awesome. But without further ado, we are here to look at the actual dinosaurs, so let's go ahead and do that now. Starting with the Kosmoceratops, if we take a look at the head sculpt here, as you can see, and as always with PNSO, you just get an insane amount of beautiful sculpt and detail crammed into a super small head sculpt. You can see that the detail all around the eye is very nicely done. It has a very cool yellow coloration around the eye. Really nicely painted actual eyeball. It's just a black coloration, but you can again see it kind of gloss a little bit as I turn it, giving the figure a very real life type of a feel. Coming down into the snout, you can see that there's some nicely sculpted detail in the beak and the very nice nostrils. You can see the palate area is also sculpted out. And even on the horns, actually, you can see there is just all sorts of cracks and crevices and all sorts of details sculpted into all of the horns, honestly. So that looks really cool. That beautiful blue and brown coloration on the frill looks very cool. Really striking. Really catches your attention to that area. Look how nice that looks. And taking a nice close look at the actual frill, you can see that there is, again, all sorts of detail and sculpt that has been included. Really beautifully done. The overall detailing of this head sculpt is fantastic, and there again are lots of different color variation. It mainly seems to be a gray and a brown, but they are just really included all over the place. Like you can see up here on the top, those horns have a brown, and then you get into the inside here of the actual frill and it has kind of a brownish color, but then you have this gray that runs down the middle of the head, and then you have a gray that runs down this area here, and that brown again on the outside, and then some grays and browns included in the face. So there is just a ton of different color variation just in the head sculpt, as usual with PNSO's minifigures. Even the back of the frill is very nicely sculpted and detailed, and then you can see the neck sculpt here looks very good as well. You can see the skin kind of bunching up here a little bit in the neck as the Kosmoceratops has its head turning left a little bit, really showing the motion of the dinosaur. Some very nice bone structure here in the shoulder. You can really see that kind of protruding from the skin. The legs look very good. Very nice skin folding in the joint section here of the elbow, and the foot itself also looks very nice. Coming up into the stomach, you can see very nice sculpting of the skin. Very beautiful detailing. It looks very like a large animal. The way the skin is sculpted, similar to like an elephant or a rhinoceros, kind of gives you that sort of a feeling. And you can sort of take note of the ribs there as well. And again, that bone structure looks very cool. It really just looks like there are bones underneath the skin of this dinosaur figure. Looks super cool. You can see some very nice musculature here in the thigh of the rear leg, and you can kind of see the skin stretching here right in the stomach region where it connects to the leg, as the dinosaur has its left rear leg stretching back, pulling the skin, but up here in the front, its left front leg is kind of bunching the skin up a little bit, and you can take note of some skin folds and stuff in that area, really again showing the motion of the dinosaur. And then there's that very nicely sculpted foot. You can see the kneecap is also present, and then we run the length of the tail, and the tail looks very nice as well. Beautiful skin texture and skin sculpting that has been done all the way out. And then taking a look at this side, you'll notice that there are significantly less as far as the scrunching of the skin goes, because the neck is turned to the other way, really pulling the skin more so than scrunching it up. So very nice attention to detail. You can come back and take note of the shoulder blade here, and the right front leg here is really up. He's kind of in like I think he was just kind of turning and rearing up his head a little bit. Maybe he saw a predator or something, and you can see the way it's reacting with the skin there. That looks very cool. Very nice attention to detail with the way they've done that. The skin kind of bunching up there in the stomach, and the entire skin detail here in the front leg really looks like it's reacting exactly as it would be if the leg were in this position. So that's really beautiful sculpt work right there in that general area. And again, you can take note of the skin texture and the beautiful sculpting of the skin as you go back, and you can see all sorts of different tones of color. It is primarily like a dark gray, but it's got this lighter gray really mixed in all throughout, making it have a very realistic look to it. And then you can see some very nice musculature here in the back leg, and you can again see the stomach kind of bunching up a little bit here as the right rear leg is pushing up into the stomach. Very nicely done there as well. Beautiful looking foot sculpt, very nice calf muscles, and then you come up and again take note of that beautiful sculpting of the skin the whole way out of the tail. It looks fantastic. The underside also looks really, really nice. So overall, a beautiful Ceratopsian. And then next we are going to look at the Pachyrhinosaurus, and this is another one of those Ceratopsians that they did something they've done with other Ceratopsians I looked at previously that I really, really liked, and that was include this beautiful light colored wash on the underneath of all the detail, and I think it really just makes these Ceratopsians just look super real to me. I don't know what it is exactly about the way they apply that wash, but man, do they look incredible when they do it. So I love the fact that they have included that wash. Really beautiful straight away. But taking a look at the actual head sculpt, you just get a real nice close look here at all the insane detail on this Pachyrhinosaurus. This is one of the best Pachyrhinosaurus figures I think I've ever seen. The beak here is sculpted out very nicely. All the detail around the mouth looks fantastic. The very nice nostrils right there sculpted, but right in front of the nostrils, between the nostrils and the beak, that detail right there just looks so cool and really just kind of gives you an idea of how the mouth is moving and the way it's closed, and just looks super cool and super realistic. Lots of very nice detail all over the place. The detail all around the eye looks incredible. And again, as usual, beautiful paint applied, really realistic looking paint. It again looks very real and very alive in my opinion. Coming up onto the actual frill, insane is the way I describe this detail up here. Just absolutely awesome. And again, it's a very plain looking color, but they give it that little bit of green there just to give it that flashy Ceratopsian look you would expect on the frill of any type of a Ceratopsian really, but most specifically males. And I think that it just looks really, really cool, really natural. And I love this little line of like a light gray or light blue that runs along underneath the eye. Again, just giving it that little bit of an extra flashy look in a very realistic way. And the horns and everything up here on the frill are all sculpted very nicely. There is just a ton of detail and stuff included. Everywhere you look on this Ceratopsian of the face sculpt just looks seriously realistic. The eyes painted very nicely and looks very real. It also has a gloss to it, so it looks super, super cool. Then as we start to run down the neck, you can see some of the skin folding and the skin bunching up as the dinosaur is turning its head slightly to the right. Very nice attention to detail. And again, as I mentioned with the last one, you can see the bone structure here of the animal. The shoulders are somewhat elaborated here, sticking out of the skin. And you come down into the front leg here. Very nicely sculpted. I love the nice gradual transition to that very dark coloration on the feet, kind of giving it a boot type of a look, and it looks really nice. Very natural and very cool. Really like that area. Again, you can see the front leg here pushing into the stomach, causing the skin to bunch a little bit there. And I think the overall detailing of the skin also looks really cool on this one, and looks very much so like a large animal, similar to the last Ceratopsian we looked at, the Kosmoceratops. Has that very same type of a feel, as you would expect similarities between different Ceratopsians. Beautiful hip bone, very, very nicely elaborated here, and again that great musculature of the thigh area, and coming down into the calf, some more beautiful musculature, and that awesome wash is really, really visible everywhere, and it just makes all the details of this figure pop so much more if it had not included that. And then there's some very nice sculpting and detail out here in the tail. Beautiful skin creases as we run out the length of the tail, and then again it kind of gets to just a lighter coloration here at the edge of the tail, but it looks very nice. And then looking at this side of the neck, again a little bit less as far as the skin folding, and creases in the skin because the dinosaur is pulling the skin now more so than bunching it up, as its head is turning a little to the right. And then you can again see the shoulder elaborated. Beautiful leg sculpt here in the front, bunching the skin up a little bit but not as much as on the other side. Some nice little hanging skin down here in the lower side of the stomach, and the scaling really nicely done. There's that hip bone in the rear again, and the beautiful musculature here of the thigh and the calf. Again, very, very big muscles here in the rear legs, as you would expect on a Ceratopsian. And there's that beautiful darker coloration again that just very gradually and very nice and naturally changes as it runs down the leg into the foot. And some more beautiful sculpting here of the detail of the tail. Really like those skin folds right there, right behind the leg. Very, very nicely done. And it has these beautiful stripes up here on the top just to give it that little extra bit of flashiness. But again, even with the wash, you can see all sorts of different tones of coloration all throughout the body, giving this a very real living animal type of an appearance. And then we have the Einiosaurus, and again, very, very cool right off the bat. Just looks super, super nice with the way that the sculpting of the skin has been done. Just like on the others, that very big, large animal type looking skin is very present on this figure. I love the eye. I must say that I love that there's that light coloration around the eye on a darker type of a face. You can see that without that lighter coloration around the eye, you wouldn't see the eye as nice as you do, considering it's a dark brown for the majority of the face. So that eye really pops now with that lighter coloration around it, and it really looks honestly like a living eye. Kind of creeps me out a little bit, almost like he's staring at me, but they've done an incredible job there in that area. And the entire head sculpt is really nicely done. Very beautiful dark wash included on this, which is actually the opposite of what we saw in a lot of the other Ceratopsians, where we normally got a lighter wash. This one has a much darker wash. Beautiful sculpting of the palate there, and the nostrils. That horn looks really, really nice as well. Lots of great detail included in there. And the frill also looks awesome, really nicely sculpted. Love the detailing that they've done on there as well. As far as these minifigures go, I think PNSO really excels when it comes to their Ceratopsians, possibly more than any other. The detail on the back of the frill also looks great. And then you run down the neck, you can see the skin really being stretched here as the dinosaur has its head turning to the right. And then you can come down here into the stomach, and again, the very nice transition and colors. You can see it just looks so natural, the way the tones of coloration have been applied. There's like this lighter green and then a little bit of a darker green. Really like the musculature here in the front leg as this leg is lifting up off the ground a little ways. And you can really see the skin stretching here as this rear left leg is pulling the skin back quite far as it's really got its legs stretched out. Kind of just gives me the feeling like this Ceratopsian was maybe in mid-stride running and decided to make a right turn, and that's the way the body is reacting to that turn, and the way the skin is being pulled from the body looks very natural and realistic. You can also take note of the rib cage there. I am always very impressed when I can see something like that, some kind of small minute detail like that on a figure as small as this is. Super impressive stuff. And you can also take note of the spinal column that runs down the length of the dinosaur. Beautiful musculature in this rear leg, and beautiful sculpting of the tail detail and skin detail here in the back of the tail. fantastic. And again, looking at the neck on this side, you can really see how much the skin has bunched up because the dinosaur really has a nice sharp right turn to its head. So you can really take note of the way the skin is reacting. PNSO doesn't skip out anywhere when it comes to the minute details you would expect, depending on the movement of the body, and I really think that shows through on these minifigures. Very nice shoulder blade here, and the beautiful front leg sculpt, very nicely done. Again, I just really dig the way that the Ceratopsians have their skin sculpted. I think it just looks so real to me, so much like a large animal. It just looks super, super cool. Very nice musculature, again in this rear leg, and coming down into that beautiful foot sculpt. The painting of the feet is again very similar to the way the Pachyrhinosaurus was, where it just gradually changes to this very dark coloration, but it looks just really cool and really natural. And once again, you can get an idea of the different tones included as far as coloration goes. It has like a lighter green and a darker green, and it's all very naturally applied and it looks great because of it. And then you run out the length of the tail, which is also very beautifully sculpted. The entire underside is also very nicely sculpted and painted. All sorts of different tones of coloration on there as well. And this beautiful green, I really like the coloration of this figure. I think it's a very natural and really beautiful way that it's been painted. It just looks super, super real, but very, very nice. As far as the size goes on these little tiny minifigures, for the Kosmoceratops, from the tip of the snout there to the tail, you are looking at about 3 inches almost on the dot, or about 8 centimeters. And for a height, you are looking at about the 2-inch range, or about 5 centimeters. For the Pachyrhinosaurus, same deal, almost about 3 inches, maybe a tiny hair more, almost 8 centimeters, but not really quite, maybe closer to 7.5 centimeters. And for a height, you're looking at about 1 3/4 inches, or about 4.5 centimeters. And for the Einiosaurus, from the tail to the head, you're looking at a little over 3 inches, or about 8 centimeters, almost on the dot. And for a height, about 2 inches, or about 5 centimeters. And for a size comparison, there is our friend the Paparex next to these much smaller Ceratopsians, who would pose zero threats against Mr. Rex here. But at the same time, I don't think the Rex wants to get stabbed in the foot by a whole bunch of random spikes coming from the heads of these Ceratopsians. It'd be like stepping on a thumbtack in the darkness, and that's not good for anyone. But again, showing you the size, it really proves just how small these tiny little minifigures are, but just how insanely highly detailed and well painted they are. It's honestly just so impressive to me. So that's 3 more minifigures and 3 more Ceratopsians in this incredible collection of PNSO minifigures. This box honestly is one of the coolest things that I have ever reviewed. There are just so many minifigures in this box. 48 different minifigures, and all are just absolutely beautiful. Every single time I look at one of these minifigures, I'm just blown away. And I say this every time I review 3, but I just cannot stress that point enough. I really cannot. It's just absolutely awesome. The Kosmoceratops is one that I feel like has definitely been overlooked a lot as far as figures go. I just don't even remember there being one previously. Pachyrhinosaurus is definitely a much more common one, but this Pachyrhinosaurus is fantastic. And then you've got the Einiosaurus, which is definitely a very overlooked species of Ceratopsian once again. Something you don't see very often get figures, so once again, PNSO pulling out some obscure species, but then some popular species, and throwing them all together to make absolutely amazing minifigures. The detailing and sculpt is all the type of thing that you would see on a much larger figure, but in a very small scale that can fit into really anybody's collection. That's one thing that is definitely a plus about these minifigures, is if you want something that is just super highly detailed and really well and very realistically painted, but you don't have a whole lot of room left in your collection, then these are exactly what you're looking for. They are just beautiful. And even if you've got tons of room in your collection, again, these honestly are just what you're looking for, because if you buy a whole bunch of minis, you're still going to have a whole lot of room left to buy a whole lot more dinosaurs. So as always, these minifigures are just jaw-droppingly beautiful, so I will throw links in the description to each and every one of these mini Ceratopsian figures from PNSO, along with a link to the entire box of 48 minifigures if you are interested in purchasing that. I recommend both the big gigantic box, or any of these 3 minifigures, along with any of the other minifigures that I have reviewed previously from PNSO, as they are all fantastic. So go check those links, buy yourself some amazing minifigures, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.